Starlight and dewdrops are awaiting thee. Sounds of the rude world heard in the day, led by the moonlight, have all passed away. Beautiful dream, my queen of my song, list while I woo thee with soft melody. Gone are the cares of life's busy throng. Beautiful dreamer, awake unto me. Beautiful dreamer, awake unto me.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Evermore Paranormal Show. My name is Jim Sorrell. Your host of the show tonight is Suzanne Sorrell. She has her sidekick, Kat Kirkpatrick, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Good evening, sweet spirits. Welcome to the show. I'm Suzanne, your host. I want to tell you a little bit about the show first before we introduce our guest for the night. The show is a variety talk show. We're going to have guests on, and we will also have musical guests, sometimes not tonight. The show is going to focus on the paranormal and specifically ghosts, but on occasion we will have some other shows that are not directly about ghosts and the paranormal. The first season is going to be comprised of 6 episodes. They're going to be 30 minutes long, or we're going to try to make them 30 minutes long. They may run longer. We're still testing the waters on how long the show should be. We are filming right now in a haunted studio. Why is it haunted? Well, there's been reports of paranormal activity by the owners, as well as when I've been here with the Evermore team doing our videos and so on. We've taken pictures and we've gotten pictures of weird things. So, also, we are very close to the National Manassas Battlefield. The Manassas National Battlefield Park is what they actually call it. There were 2 major battles here during the Civil War, and there were tons of casualties. And we're going to talk more about that on another show. But basically, the studio is set for paranormal activity. And as a result, not only am I here, I'm your host and I'm the owner of Evermore Paranormal. I also have my husband over here that announced the show. His name is Jim, and he's going to be working some equipment during the show. And if we have any activity, he's going to let us know. Also, I have my best buddy of 13 years, Kat. She's my sidekick. And so when the 2 of us get together, we're double trouble. Now, to start the show, I want to introduce a friend of mine and a woman that knows something about everything. She is so knowledgeable about so many things. You're probably going to see her on a bunch of shows. Tonight, however, she's going to talk about being a psychic. Welcome to the show, Lucille Snyder.
Thank you.
Yes, used to calling you just Lucille.
I know.
So, Lucille, we're so glad to have you here as the first guest. It was hard to decide what to have you talk about because you know so much. So we were actually gonna have her on to talk about being a witch too, but we're gonna save that for another show. So Lucille, I'm curious to know, when did you realize that you were psychic?
I'd have to say very young. Somewhere in elementary school, I spent a lot of time by myself. I didn't make friends very well. And I noticed that people that I would talk to actually weren't there. When I would introduce them to somebody, they would ask me, "Who are you talking to?" And that's when I realized that, okay, I'm seeing things that other people aren't.
I see. So that was elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you. I've always wondered this, and since you're psychic, I have a lot of friends that are psychic. Almost everybody I meet at these conventions are psychic in various levels. I'm curious, do you think a psychic is born, or can someone learn to be a psychic?
I believe that you're either born that way or you're not. Those that want to tell you that you can become a psychic, that's not true. They're probably just in it for the money. And buyer beware is all I can tell you, is those that, oh, I developed my skills later in life. At some point in your childhood, you had to have known that you were different from others.
So I'm curious, you think that psychics are born, not made, in other words, basically.
Yes.
Okay, and that's your opinion, and I'm sure everybody has their own opinion. That's why I ask you. Everybody has a right to their own opinion. So since you were born a psychic, my question is, do you think you inherited the ability? And secondly, did you pass it on to your children?
I don't know if you can pass it on.
Like, did they inherit a gene or something of that?
Oh, that's
I'm
just
thinking.
it. I don't know if you can inherit the gene, if there is a gene for it or not. But I do know that several members throughout my family on both sides of my parents have had psychic abilities. And my youngest daughter, Jasmine, does appear to have some. She doesn't go overboard with them. She has not really expanded on them. So,
Do you? I have some. I wouldn't call myself a psychic, but I know that I have some kind of gift. Through the years, I've had some things going on. I don't consider myself a psychic, but I'm curious to know, do you consider being psychic a gift or a curse or a little of both, and why?
it can be a little bit of both. It keeps you entertained, which is a good thing. When there's no one else around that can interact with you, if you're psychic, there's always somebody there.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to look at the curse side of it, you can't go around bragging about it because the norm is brought up believing that, oh, there's no such thing as ghosts. Your fortune. Those that do are just trying to squeeze your money from you. So with that mentality, tell you your future, no one can curse. So now more people are becoming more open-minded about it. So it does make a difference.
So, Kat, do you have any questions? Or
Yeah, how
something
can
come
you
up?
tell if something's in your house? What kind of feeling do you get?
Well, at my house, we have a little aura that runs around, and I believe she's a little girl. The first time I saw her, she was, it was just a green little aura that really didn't have a full body shape. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, and it would be in the corner like it was hiding, playing hide and seek. Every once in a while, still in the kitchen, mm-hmm. near the washing machine. Now, the dogs will go in there and look in this area, and they'll sniff around and then walk away. Mm-hmm. It's been quite interesting because I catch something out of the corner of my eye.
Mm-hmm. And it's green?
Yeah.
You see a green aura?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But as time has gone on, it has taken more shape, looking more like a child, a little girl. Mm-hmm. And so if that orb or aura were ever to go away, I think I would feel uncomfortable in the house alone.
So you kind of feel like it's a protector, kind of a protective?
No, it just makes me feel like I'm not alone.
Oh, yeah, you always got company. Oh, okay. So great question, Kat. So how has being psychic helped or hampered you in your life?
Well, like I said, I have, if you want to use it to get friends, don't. Because they either they want to show you off to their friends, making you feel as though you're a freak. And in the end, that's basically all they're doing is portraying you as a freak. So that's how it's hampered me. Now, helping me, people who are open-minded and have a belief in it, I have been drawn to them and have made great friends, such as you.
Thank
So
you.
there is that.
Yeah, you read my palm the first time I saw you. Well, you looked at them. I still got to ask you about that when we. I got some questions about that later.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm curious. Do you have a funny story about, your psychic abilities and how something happened that was just funny as hell?
Well, okay. I did lose a friend, and this friend was someone who was there for me during a really rough time. And at one point, after my hard time had drifted by, things were starting to look brighter for me. And she kept at me about reading her palm and doing a full reading on her. So I told her, I said, okay, she already had 4 children. I told her she would be having 3 more. I told her
She had 4 already?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So I told her the sexes of her children, when they would be born, and other details that she was not happy with. And when she had the 3rd child, who happened to be a little boy, and I also told her about their health issues that they would have as infants. And when she came home from the hospital, after visiting her youngest son, she was very angry at me. She she basically feared me. And her husband packed up all 7 kids and moved to North Carolina just to get away from me.
Oh, you lost the friend because she was afraid that
Yes.
you'd predict more kids?
No.
I mean, 7. She had 7 at this point, right?
Right. No, she was
my.
she was basically a non-believer, and
Well-
when I told her, and she realized that, okay, psychics are real, and when they get that detailed, it scared her, and so she ran from the idea that what I was telling her was real. So.
Wow, cool. Funny story. Yeah. I think that's
Well,
awful
I-
that she left you. I mean,
Yeah, okay, I find it funny.
After 7
just
kids,
her reaction.
okay.
Well, her
it's not your
reaction.
fault.
After she had the 5th child, which was a daughter, she goes, okay, maybe you got this one right. And then the son happened, and she started looking at me. She goes, I don't know what game you're playing, but stop.
Wow.
And then when she, was pregnant with the 3rd one, and she really did. We used to have coffee all the time and hang out and play with the kids and go do different things and bake cakes for the school and stuff. And when she found out that her 3rd pregnancy was going to be a boy, the phone calls stopped, the coffee stopped.
Oh my
And,
goodness.
well,
Well-
I don't find it so bad. I just look at it as, okay, your mind wasn't as open as you claimed it to be. So
Well, I've had a bunch of readings when I go to conventions, when I go to fairs. You've read me. You came to our party. Didn't ask you to read, but she read everybody. Kind of scared a few people with.
Oh.
I know the one sitting right here. I know you read her, and you scared a few people with what you saw. Me, even if you tell me, even if anybody, because I've had well-known, psychics pick me out of a crowd and read me. I listen to it. I keep it in the back of my mind, but I don't let it rule my life, and I don't let it scare me. But
right.
I just
You kinda
basically,
wonder.
yeah. So I still, though, I'm trying to figure out when you said a couple things when you were doing the crystal ball reading. I'm still trying to figure out what that means, but it'll come one day. It'll be like, yeah. In my book, I have a story about a lady that swore that my mom had passed away. I don't want to take away from you, but a real quick story. She kept saying, your mom says thank you for the flowers. Your mom says thank you for the flowers. I said, look, Mom didn't want flowers. Mom had no flowers at the funeral. Mom hated flowers. She didn't hate them, but she didn't want to waste money on flowers. They die, don't waste money. So I insisted to this lady, no flowers, no flowers, no flowers. A year later, I'm looking at pictures, and I see a picture of a bouquet of flowers. My mom had one bouquet of flowers. Her work sent her to the rehab when she was in a coma. And I kept showing her the flowers. Mom, you like the flowers? Mom, you like the flowers? That story had totally slipped my mind. My mom was saying thanks for those flowers. So you don't realize till down the road sometimes when things do come true. Now I can't wait to see this lady and tell her, hey, you were right. So that was a story, and it's in my book, but that's coming out next month. But anyway, I also want to ask you, is your psychic ability on all the time, or do you turn it off? Do you have a way that you turn off your abilities? Like you don't want to see that little girl. You don't, tonight I want to sleep. Leave me alone.
For the most part, having the abilities that I do have a way to just put it in the back of my mind and to not let it be in the forefront, because it starts to become an interference with day-to-day life. So I've had to learn how to just kind of put it to the back. And when something starts nagging me and won't go to sleep and just sit in the corner in the back of my mind, then I have to pay attention to it and tell whoever the feeling is about, whatever my psychic is seeing. So
I'm just I'm wondering, for you, what kind of some psychics see things like you saw the aura. Some psychics hear voices. Some get this feel. What happens to you? I know you already mentioned that you see an aura of the little girl in the kitchen. What senses are prominent for you that you use as a psychic?
I will get an overwhelming feeling that something or someone is near that is trying to make contact with me for whatever reason. And sometimes I do hear voices that aren't there. For the most part, my family is probably going to go, oh, it makes sense now. I keep the volume on the TV down low. And I keep,
like the white noise?
Not so much the white, no. It's not for the white noise. Okay. It's so that when I do start to hear the voices again, I hear what they're saying.
Ah, okay.
Because if the volume of the TV's too loud, then I can't hear what they're saying.
I'm the opposite.
Now, here recently, they wake me up at night, but they're not saying anything. They make the room very hot. They make me very hot. So a lot of times I sleep with the window open, and I don't know if it's just somebody who wants to get out of the house. But all winter, my poor husband has slept with the window open.
No wonder you got sick. Oh, goodness. So it's a combination of things.
Yes.
And when you're talking about the TV and you turn it down so you can hear the voices, I don't know, I saw Kat smile. She's probably with me. I turn the sound up. When I'm trying to, I'm home alone, and I do hear a man. I never hear a woman in my house, by the way, but I have heard a man as if he's standing right here, and he's saying, hey, hello, hey, like at my mom's house, too. I don't want to hear. I've literally thought my husband came home, and I've gone to look, and he's not there. I'm like, oh, and then I think he's playing a joke on me. So I usually have the TV on when I'm home alone, but to drown out, I don't want to hear it. Are you the same way, Kat, about that with the TV, or?
Yeah, well, I had an experience in Missouri when I lived there about 11 years, because this guy killed himself in the basement.
Right.
And it was real strange. One day I was in my bedroom, and I keep hearing these children outside. So I said, okay, let's go check and see the children. I didn't see anybody out there. So it was kind of strange, like, I don't have an ability.
They say everybody has a little bit of ability. It's just whether you nurture it, right? If you don't want to hear the things, like at night, sometimes I'll hear voices. Sometimes I'll hear creeping around in my room, and I know I had some spirits there, and it's not my mom and everybody else, and dogs mostly. But I will literally say, okay, everybody, be quiet. I got to get some sleep tonight. And do you know, it's quiet like that. So then my next question then is, I know that you also, we were talking about, you came to the coven party that we had, this surprise, we're going to have a witch party. We're all going to be witches. I didn't know she was one too. Good. And her daughter as well are officially
she was
witches.
dressed real well.
Yeah, I know. And
Yeah.
she came and she pulled out the equipment. She pulled out the toys, shall I say. So I know you read palms, you do the tarot cards, the crystal ball. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and then what's your favorite?
Oh, okay. Well, I can tell you my least favorite is the tarot cards. Right now, I'm to be honest with you, I don't think my tarot cards like me that much. And that's okay, because I'm not real crazy about them either. Now, I like to use the crystal balls. It's not one of my favorites, but palm reading, hand in hand, the physical touch. That way I can sense your inner core and what you're feeling and thinking. Now, as far as crystal balls go, crystals are supposed to be healing, and they're supposed to give insight into the inner workings of a person's mind. And those things can also be found if you just use the little quartz crystals and the gemstones. Gemstones work very well when you're giving a reading to someone. But once again, if you're using crystals and gemstones, you still have to have the hand-to-hand contact so that both of you are touching them simultaneously.
So you brought
I
the
brought
famous crystal ball tonight.
Oh no, that's not the famous one.
This
That's
is
not
not
that's not the one that
That's
I
not
gave
the
the
big
read.
one?
No,
Oh my God, that's not the big one you brought to the party?
no, that's the
Oh.
medium-sized ball.
Oh my God, look at this.
Yes.
She brought one in a bowling ball bag. This isn't it?
No.
Now
no.
that one that you didn't bring, you said was like 40 pounds, right?
Yes.
Oh, like 40 pounds.
Right.
But
And
was there
it's a-
something wrong with that? It wasn't as clear?
Oh
Was
no,
it- no, that was good?
it's a pristine crystal ball. It's 100% crystal, and I didn't bring it, one, because of its weight, and two, it's sitting at the front door and it's a little cloudy. Now, when I brought it to do the readings, it went smoky.
What does that mean? I mean, I have no idea about crystal balls.
Yeah.
Okay. When it went smoky, it basically said that there was not so much an evil spirit, but a spirit at unrest.
Which is the guy that hangs out upstairs.
Right.
I'll have to tell you about that.
Okay.
How much does this ball weigh? Do you know?
That one there weighs about 17 to 20 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Go ahead, try and lift it.
Yeah, I know. Yes,
Okay.
I can't lift it.
Okay. Now,
Without
let
it
me
rolling.
get you to pick this one up.
Pick
Go
that one
ahead,
up
go
there.
ahead. Pick that up.
Oh, wow. It's really light.
Yeah, here. Go ahead, Suzanne. Just give it a little.
Yeah, I mean, compared to that,
Okay.
yeah, and your 40-pound one.
For those that are wondering, crystal balls and the people who will do a crystal reading for you, if you can lift their ball and they will allow it, and it doesn't weigh anything, then it's acrylic. It is solid plastic, just like this one.
Yeah, I never knew
So
that.
now that one there, it is 100% crystal. There's no doubt about that being crystal, but it has air bubbles in it, which makes it imperfect. Now you can still do readings on it, but you have to be a long-term reader of a crystal ball to actually see what it's showing you. Now, if someone does a reading with a plastic ball, they're just milking you from your paycheck. So-
I've been to some places that had the crystal ball, and I guarantee you they would never let me touch it. I guarantee you, if you went to touch that, they would freak out.
Now, I personally, when I do a crystal ball reading, I had every one of you touch it.
Pass
Did
it-
I?
yeah,
right.
pass it around, yeah.
I wanted you to hold it before I did the reading because it has to know you.
Right, it
It
picks the
has
energy
to
up, right?
sense you. Exactly.
sorry.
It's got to know your energy.
Have you? We're almost out of time. We just have about. Well, we're going to run a little over.
Okay.
So we only have about 3 minutes left of our 30-minute show, and then I got some announcements to make. So let me ask you a few more questions.
Okay.
Well, what was your favorite, though, of all of the tools? Did you say?
Well,
Or you don't really like tools?
Either palm reading or the readings with gemstones. But physical touch to get to know your energy.
Right.
I have to be able to feel that.
I see. I have a question. Have you ever picked up on something really horrible about, somebody's going to die, or something horrible's going to happen? There's going to be a terrorist attack, something horrible. And you just kept it to yourself because you figured, one, you can't change fate, or maybe you believe you can. Two, they wouldn't believe you. Because I have death dreams. And from day one, I had my first death dream. From day one, my mom said, don't ever tell the person they're going to die. So I had death dreams since I was 20. I'm not going to say how many years I've been having them now. You'll know how old I am. But basically, my last death dream I had was my mom. And guess what? Mom told me not to tell her. She didn't want to know. So I knew Mom was dying. I knew that it was coming because the dream played out in real life. I saw it happening. She did some things, and I'm like, oh, God, my dream is going to... And she did die. And no, I didn't tell her. So that's one example of what I mean by, did you have something like that where you just... And you don't have to say who the person is or anything, or it's up to you what you want to reveal of that.
Now, I haven't actually pinpointed any major disasters as far as family goes. I have this thing that I call Oogie. And when I get an Oogie feeling, I have a certain bunch of family that I will call to make sure everybody's okay. And it's usually a week later I get the phone call that so-and-so has passed. And
2 weeks for me. 2 weeks, phone call. So, yeah. So, when you know, you just call them and just check on them, right? You don't tell them, hey, I saw that you're going to die.
Now, with my siblings and my children, those are the first ones I call and tell them, okay, I got an Oogie feeling, please be extra careful.
Yeah, warn them.
Yeah,
Warn them, but don't tell them.
Right. Well, okay, the other thing is I don't know. My Oogie feeling doesn't tell me who. It just lets me know it's family. So.
I've learned how to control that myself with the death dreams. I do keep them to myself, and a lot of times I've woken up in the middle of the dream, and as long as I don't verbalize it, I woke up one night and I said, oh no, not Uncle, and I stopped myself. I knew that my uncle, I'm not going to say his name, had a heart attack. 2 weeks later, he had a heart attack. No, just total surprise. But he lived. He didn't die. I feel like if I had said his name, he would have died. So now I do not, the only person I tell is Jim usually, maybe Kat, probably you for now on, but seriously, you don't want, I don't like that burden, having that burden.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you said, you get the Oogie feeling and you will kind of get, like I did have a dream about you, Kat, the other night. I haven't talked to you, and it's not about dying, but check your brakes on your car. Are you having don't tell me you're having brake trouble.
Well, I want to get my brake pads checked.
Get them checked.
Yeah.
And it's not that you died or anything, but I've been trying to get hold of you, and basically you lent me your car, and I got in, and I'm like, where the hell are the brakes? I'm not driving Kat's car, and that was to me a warning, and I've been trying to talk to you, so don't wait, do it. I'm not psychic, but when I have a gut feeling, I've learned to just go with it. Ask her, she's psychic. She's psychic. She's telling you go check the brakes.
Now,
now
I have had a death dream, and in my family, it doesn't work as though someone's going to die. Now, I will have a faceless person in my dream who dies, and what I found out, faceless. And I don't really see the person, male or female. That I can tell basically by how they're dressed and how they look. Well, for whatever reason, with my death dreams. My niece is now going to be a grandmother again.
Oh, no.
Graduation.
Your niece is now going to, what?
She's going to be a grandmother.
Your niece
again.
is going to be a
Oh, my
grandmother.
goodness.
Okay.
Yes.
She
Yes.
must be pretty young.
She is.
So we just
Her
have a
birthday
couple
was
more
just the other
questions,
day.
and then we have some announcements. We've already run past our 30 minutes. It's
Okay.
been so fun talking to you. I'm not going to end it. I got a couple more questions.
Oh, okay.
And we were told we could run a little longer, and then I have about 5 minutes of some announcements and so
All
on.
right.
But I've so enjoyed talking to you and you, Kat, and it's just so fun. And 2 more questions. One
Okay.
is, do you have any ethical considerations when you're doing psychic readings? Is there something you go, I will never? I know one, which is you didn't allow us to film during a read. That's what
Right.
I'm talking about.
Right.
When we had the party and you read for us, you go, you can take pictures, whatever, but I want privacy with my person that I'm reading, and you cannot film. Is there anything? I mean, so that's what I'm talking about. Anything like that?
Just the filming part of it. What I am telling to a person that I'm giving a reading to, that's between them and me. And if they want you to know what I've told them, then it's on them to tell you. And so it's a privacy thing. Now, the filming thing is basically the big one. The other thing is if you... when I'm doing a reading for someone, I don't like for anybody else to actually have physical contact, be touching me or them at that time, because it muddies up the reading.
I
It
would
really
think
does.
so.
There's a different energy that comes in.
I would think too. My other question is, well, there's one more question after this, and then we'll go to the announcement. I know, I got so many questions. Did you have a question, Kat?
Yeah, you got a question?
Well, I was kind of wondering when you can't film you when you're doing palm readings and stuff like that, it means also I think that the person doesn't really want to know everybody to know their business either.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
so, yeah.
What I was going to add before, the big thing, when something comes up and that death card comes up, because I've seen it on my readings, and it really scares you, but it doesn't mean you physically are going to die.
Right.
But if the card comes up when you're doing the readings and that death card comes up and it's in a bad place, it's
Right.
like, oh no, maybe soon.
Right.
Do you feel like you have a responsibility to tell them? How do you let them know?
Okay. I do tell them because they do have a right to know. Now, depending on the reading, whether it's a personal reading of their person and it comes up as the death card, I also inform them, okay, yes, it does say that you're going to die, but guess what? We all get out the same way. When? The death card doesn't tell you when. Now, if it's a financial reading or just a relationship reading, the death card can mean the end of a business, the end of a partnership, the end of a relationship. So most people say, oh my God, it's the death card, I'm going to die.
Used to do.
Well, that's how, if you were to go ahead and get the tarot cards, they sell them at Toys R Us. If you go and you get a box of tarot cards and you read the book that comes along with it, it will explain to you that yes, the death card means many different things. It doesn't mean it's your end. And you have to be very gentle with people when you're doing a reading.
Yeah, because
To
sometimes
keep them
it's the first
from
reading,
right.
and they freak out.
Yes. So, and those that it comes up on a personal reading, the other thing is I also remind them that any action that they take after this reading can change everything. If you decide, oh, okay, you say that this is wrong with me, and if I don't do anything, yeah, I'm definitely going to die. And you decide, okay, I'm going to go see the doctor and get all the tests and do the treatments and all this other stuff. Okay, there you go. You've just changed that reading.
Okay. One last question for you, and then I have I'm going to check with Jim in a minute to see if anything's happened here tonight. But one last question. If you could know one thing, just one thing, by using your psychic ability, what would it be? In other words, Would you want to know when you're going to die? Or, you know, something like that. Would you want to know the lottery numbers? Of course, that's the first question everybody asks.
Right.
What are the lottery numbers? Why aren't
Right.
you a billionaire? And I asked your daughter that recently, and I
yes,
know.
and
What would you want to know?
well, I wouldn't want to know the lottery numbers.
No.
Basically, because that brings bad juju onto yourself, and because you're trying to profit from your own abilities, and it taints your psychic abilities, and then everything becomes dark. So
Is there anything though that you would want to know?
Okay, if I weren't doing my own reading and somebody else were doing it, the one thing that I would want to know is success in business.
Success in business. Okay. Well.
No, in business, not an.
Oh, in your business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can
Okay.
tell you that your business, I'm not psychic, but I can tell you know what, it's success in business, you have it, which is you work your butt off and you work 24/7, you're dedicated. I know this because you've done a lot of projects for me. And I so thank you for coming on
you.
the show tonight.
Oh, thank you very
and
much.
Thank you for hanging out with me, buddy,
Thank you.
and not causing too much trouble tonight.
Nope.
So
I'll try.
during the show, we're gonna check with Jim now. First of all, we've had some K2s running. I know there's false positives to K2s. I checked, and it basically nothing's happened on my K2. Has anything happened there? So we're going to check over here with Jim. Now we just brought some simple equipment tonight. I think as the shows go on, we're going to get more and more elaborate. But we just want to kind of see, maybe the ghosts will realize we want to talk to them and they'll start hanging out, coming on over from the battlefield. But I'm going to look over and check with Jim now. Jim, has anything happened at all?
No activity. I've got a K2 meter also. Nothing on that at all. Also running a Mel meter. Temperature's been pretty steady and no action at all on that either.
Well, I'm told that near where you're sitting is where there's a lot of activity.
Yeah, I was running the K2 around, but I didn't get
Nothing
anything.
tonight?
No.
Okay, well, we'll keep trying. Thank you, Ghost Bro.
Okay.
He hates that. He hates being called a Ghost Bro.
Smile.
Okay, so we didn't get any activity tonight, or so we think. We don't know. When they listen, you may listen and hear something that we weren't saying when you watch the show, because it will be on Stairway East. I think it'll be on Stairway East channel on YouTube. So I got a few announcements tonight, and we've already run 10 minutes over the show, and I'm going to do this real quick. It's probably going to take about 5 minutes, though. Basically, the Evermore Paranormal will be at a couple Paracons this coming up soon. The Gettysburg Paracon is going to be in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. We're really excited. The angle of it is a little different than other Paracons. It's going to be a lot of focus. You might want to come, actually. It's going to be they're going to have tarot card workshops. You know all this stuff anyway, but you never know. You might learn something new or teach them something. You never know. There's going to be a lot of experts, crystals, how to use equipment, all that. There's still tickets available. It's April 14th through the 16th. You might want to come too, Jazz. It's April 14th through the 16th in Gettysburg. Right, it's being held at the 1863 Inn, which is right in the middle of town. And you can get tickets, or if you want to be a vendor tables are still available. I talked to Jolene yesterday. Jolene Spooky Riley is the one that's behind all this. And if you go to Gettysburg, I always go to her ghost tours. She's right there across the street pretty much from the 1863 Inn. The Gettysburg Paranormal Association is behind this Paracon, as well as Gettysburg Ghost Tours. So go to them. We'll be there. We're going to have a table. Jim and I will be there. You guys, if you want to come, tickets, I think just a day pass is only like $7. But then you have to pay for other things, like if you want to go to a workshop or an investigation. That's how they work. The Paracons work like that. Secondly, we're going to go to another Paracon at Pennhurst. Everybody's excited about that. A couple other team members are already going. It's Pennhurst Paracon 2. It's sold out right away. You can't buy tickets. You can't even buy your way in right now. I've never seen a convention sell out so fast. Literally, immediately. It's June 4th and 5th, and the only reason I'm saying something about it, because you can't get in right now unless you have tickets, but we'll be there. The vendor tables are sold out too. So I also want to say my mom's birthday is Monday, and she's passed away about 3 years ago, and I wanted to promote one of my CDs. This is the first song that I ever wrote. The first song that I ever wrote is called Alone, and I perform as the Evermore Effect. So this song was about my mom and losing my mom, and I dedicated it to her, and since her birthday is coming up on Monday, you know, I just wanted to promote that. It's available worldwide through digital download. If you go to cdbaby.com, that's the best place to go. Search the Evermore Effect, and you'll see I have 8 singles out right now. As we move on, next week, we're going to have a show for the next 5 weeks on Saturday. They'll be at 9 o'clock. Tonight we ran a little long. We're going to be done real quick, though. We ran a little long. We didn't know whether we could talk, but we should have known that, right, guys? We should have known. And but you know, we didn't want to kind of be stressed, like, okay, we can't talk that long, but we can. So the show ran about 15 minutes late. So basically, next Saturday night here, 9 o'clock, we're going to do at least 30 minutes, probably more like 45, because we have a bunch of guests, and I'll tell you that in a minute. Now, our guest next week was supposed to be an author, Kathy Gash. And she wrote a book called My Life Amidst the Paranormal. She was supposed to be here next week. She was one of the first guests that I booked. Then her husband had a stroke. And he's been in and out of the hospital, rehabs, and she's taking care of him. And she lives in Gettysburg, which is about 100 miles from here. She can't leave him alone. So I just want to do a shout out to Kathy. If you want to go buy her book, her author name is Kathy, C-A-T-H-Y, initial E for her middle name, and then Gash is spelled G-A-S-C-H. And the name of the book again is My Life Amidst the Paranormal. She wrote, her book is about her experiences over 3 countries, and I'm pretty sure one of them is Ireland, because she's really into the Irish. I think she is Irish. So I just wanted to say to Kathy and her husband, I know she's probably watching, that I understand what you're going through, taking care of your husband and what's going on. I thank you so much, and you and your husband will be in our prayers. And we definitely will get you on next season. If you can't come here, we'll figure something out. Now, our guests for next week, we have 3 of the ladies of Evermore. And you guys are also could be ladies of Evermore, so they might be here next week, too. I know you'll be here. You may be popping in. But, yeah, popping in. So we have Mary Moore's coming. We have Tabby Corbin. And we have Robin Honecker. And they're going to come and talk about their personal paranormal experiences. So, with that said, this has been the Evermore Paranormal Show. Peace out.